Now, you're probably too modest to do a good job answering this question, but I'm going to ask it to you anyways. So get ready. You have to be modest, but you have to also talk about yourself. And the question is, there are some people who know the good principles that you know.
Right.
But very few of them, in fact, it's just you, have risen to the pinnacle. Why have you risen? What is it that you have that makes you so special?
Well, I was talking to somebody who was addressing that subject with me recently, very successful businessman, and he said that you have the wonderful ability to synthesize ideas. Is I can read hundreds, thousands of hours. I've calculated that I've read an average of 3 hours a day for about 50 years.
Oh,
About 150,000 hours of study. And
wow.
as I say, one idea added on to the ideas you already have can change your perspective in just a small way. And you're really not the same again. So what I do is I take all of these ideas and I keep assembling them, sort of like shuffling cards together. I keep synthesizing them, and then I can explain them so a person can take them and use them immediately and get results. They're not a 6 months or a year, but it could be overnight. It could be 1 week. I used to do a coaching program for entrepreneurs, and I would say that I will guarantee that you'll double your income and double your time off within 1 year. And I charge several $1,000s per student per year, and they would come and work with me for 1 full day every 3 months. And I would work with a group of people, 30 to 40 entrepreneurs, ambitious people. And they said, well, how can I be sure that I can get my money's worth and so on? I said, well, I'll unconditionally guarantee it. If you don't double your income and double your time off within 1 year, then I'll give you your money back. And I never got a request for a refund.
Wow.
And, the best compliment that I ever had was people said, I've been to coaching, business coaching for years, and I learned more from you in the first half day than I learned in several years paying $25,000 a year for coaching, because you make it so simple and so immediately applicable. My favorite example of my coaching program is a good friend of mine who I encouraged to attend, and under the conditions, guaranteed everything. And in the afternoon of day one, I was teaching a particular principle in personal management. And at the end of the session, we broke for a break. He got up, closed his briefcase, grabbed his suitcase, and headed for the door. We had about 30 or 40 people there, and he was definitely leaving. So I followed him out into the hallway in this executive training center. And I said, where are you going? He said, I'm leaving. I'm going home. He said, I said, well, you know, we're just getting started. It's the first day. He said, I had my money's worth. He said, from what you just taught me, I've already doubled or tripled my income. He said, I know, and I've got to get back and apply it. I said, but there's a year's worth of coaching and application. He said, I've had my money's worth. That one idea changed my life forever. And he walked out the door, and I stayed in touch with him, and he doubled, tripled, increased his income 5 times in the next 2 or 3 years. Moved to a big, beautiful house on the lake. Just changed his whole life completely with one idea. And that's what can happen. But here's the problem. You never know which idea it's going to be, Raymond. Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to keep scooping. I say like marbles on a table. You have to keep scooping ideas, because you never know what is going to be the right idea for you at the right time. There was a book. I wrote a book called The Luck Factor, by the way, and it was the publishers changed the title to Create Your Own Future. And basically, the luck factor says there's no such thing as luck. There's only probabilities. And if you do certain things in a certain way, you increase the probabilities that you will do the right thing at the right time. And doing my research, I came across a book called The Luck Factor, which is 50, 60 years old. And it said, it's amazing how many people's lives are changed as a result of a casual meeting with a stranger. And there was one of the chapters is that they sit next to a person on an airplane. They bump into a person socially. they call on a person in business. It's a casual meeting with a stranger that they only meet once and never meet again. But in that meeting, the stranger says something and they're never the same again. And so what I emphasize is the whole idea of probabilities. I told you I took an MBA, and in the MBA program, you have to take probability theory. And everybody I've spoken to has taken an MBA, just tears their hair out with probability theory, because it's all based on differential calculus. And probabilities theory was developed about 300 years ago by a Swiss monk. And what he did is he developed a series of methods that you can measure the probability. All of insurance, all finance, all gambling, all everything is based on probability theory. All our numbers in our society are based on probability theory. And so what happens is if you do certain things in a certain way over and over, you dramatically increase the probability that you will be a great success. And if you don't, you dramatically diminish the probability. People say, well, he or she is just lucky because they started off and they became a millionaire. But you don't see all the hours and hours and hours and days and long nights. The average self-made millionaire in the first 10 years works an average of about 70 hours a week. And after that, they pull back to about 60 hours a week. The average self-made millionaire works 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and just works over and over again to develop new information. And as a result, they combine all of these ideas and they strike lightning and they become wealthy. And people say, well, they're just lucky. There's no such thing as luck. There's just probabilities. That's why people want to come to this program, this Mastery of Greatness program, because it dramatically increases the likelihood that you will have the right idea shared with you by the right person at the right time that can combine with your other ideas that can change your life forever.
Yes, and you don't know which moment it'll be.
Yes.
And so you need to keep surrounding yourself with powerful people. Surround yourself with me, with Brian Tracy, with some of the others that I bring, but we're focusing now on this master, Brian Tracy, and he knows about probability theory. He's studied calculus like I did. I actually graduated as a mathematician and a physicist.
Wow.
But when you learn from us, you don't have to learn calculus. We did it for you.
That's right.
Brian said he read 150,000 hours of books. That saves you 150,000 hours because he digests it. And some of the books he learned one thing, one sentence. Other books he learned nothing. Maybe many books he learned nothing. But other books he learned a huge amount. And he's taken all that wisdom and has been able to present it. And he'll be presenting it so wisely about probability, about what you can do to dramatically increase the chance that you'll be a success, that you'll meet the right people at the right time, how to behave, what to do. You know, one of my coaches said about the concept of garbage in, garbage out. Everyone's heard that, garbage in, garbage out. He said, it's not true. Garbage in, garbage stays and has children. Like, when you hear bad news, when you watch silly sitcoms where people just make fun of each other, when you waste your time in bars arguing about who won a particular baseball game 50 years ago, you're just putting garbage in your head and it stays because you start thinking about those things that you put in your head. So Brian and I and all the famous people that you and I know, we put powerful stuff in our head, powerful wisdom from books and from chance meetings with strangers and with wonderful other world famous transformational leaders that we know. And so our life just rises and rises. And what we can't stop doing is teaching you the wonderful principles that we've digested and learned and have become capable at teaching. And I just love that I do it. I love that you do it. And all of our mutual friends, all of them, Mark Victor Hansen, Robert Kiyosaki, Jack Canfield, Joe Vitale, like everyone we know brings in information and then delivers it to the audience. And for the first time in 3.5 decades, I'm bringing the world famous Brian Tracy. I have no plans to ever bring him again. This is going to be an historic meeting. Brian and I will be friends forever, but will we ever be on stage again? I don't know. 2020 is our year of collision. So we're colliding on stage in Los Angeles in April 5th, 4th and 5th, and in Toronto, May 1, 2, 3 in the year 2020. There's VIP and general admission. And my suggestion is you grab VIP if it's still available. VIP always sells out first because we have a limited number of them, because Brian has to take individual photographs with the VIPs. And so he gives us a limit of how many pictures he'll take. So as a VIP, you get lunch every day and you get individual professional photograph with Brian Tracy, and you get front row seating. You get into the room first so that you can choose where to sit, and you get a special registration desk, you get a VIP gift bag. We really overpower you with goodies so that you can really have a great experience. And not just the experience around what Brian and I will teach, the actual experience of what we teach is the secret, is the magic ingredient that you can't get from a video. You need the immediacy. So